By the way, Aaron Rodgers could have easily won that press conference yesterday, gone to a real guy like Peter King, a big-time guy, and said, listen, I got to own some of my crap. I'm not the easiest guy to play with. I didn't like the article. I wish people would stop bringing up stuff that's 10 years old, but I got to own some of this stuff. You know, instead of projecting yesterday, pointing fingers, everybody's out to get me. That never plays well. Just come out and just say, listen, man, I'm driven. I can sometimes be arrogant. I take a lot of hits on this. I feel as bad about the Mike McCarthy thing as Mike feels. I take some responsibility, not all, but some. And everybody be like, yeah. Instead, project, their fault, bitter X. Ay. Tedious. Okay, so 4 years is a long time in sports. And yesterday, there was an NBA player poll on The Athletic. You should subscribe. There is excellent journalism there. And they polled the players, like 25, 30 of the players, percent of the players. And they got a bunch of great questions out of them. Best player, overrated underwear, all this stuff. And who was the most overrated player? Now, it would be very easy for me to bring the old hammer out because Russell Westbrook was voted the most overrated player. Yeah! Told you so. But it's not really where I'm going to go with this. Where I'm going with this is also right beneath him was James Harden, tied for third. Okay, time out. 4 years ago, I think it's fair to say that Harden and Westbrook were often kind of bunched together. Terrific offensive players. Defense was more of a hobby. I did it occasionally when they felt like it. They weren't the easiest guys to play with. I think that was fair 4 years ago. And are these guys kind of into stats? These were all similarities between the two. But they are no longer similar players. Westbrook has kind of a relentless, crazy side. Harden, we've discovered, is almost a level below chill. Their personalities aren't the same. Westbrook has deteriorated as a shooter. Harden has never been more lethal. Westbrook's style and body is not conducive to longevity. Harden looks like he could play forever. Westbrook, I don't think he's the MVP of his own team. I think you could argue Harden's the MVP of the entire league. Westbrook, due to surgeries, is clearly on the back nine. Harden looks like he's right smack dab in the middle of his prime. Westbrook has often let down teammates. Harden, actually last year, was let down by a teammate who got hurt. These are not the same players. I was not a huge fan of James Harden when he came into this league. I have become a fan. Now, I don't think he's as good as Kobe, what the analytic people say. Kobe's more athletic and was the greatest tough shot maker of my entire basketball life. But James Harden's the best one-on-one player in the league. He has smartly been able to work with Chris Paul, who's got, at times, the opposite game, and yet they work well together. And I thought they would, and I predicted they would, because Chris Paul and Harden are smart guys, and I'm a big believer in business. Hire smart people. They'll figure out how to make things work. Westbrook has largely unraveled in recent years, deteriorated. Still a great talent, but sometimes just too rigid and relentless. That is not Harden. Harden has blown me away in the last couple of years. His game is elevated. He'll play forever. He's in the middle of his prime. He's the most unstoppable offensive force in the league. I would never want to face him. I'm not sure, like Kobe in his prime, you can actually stop him. And I like his personality. Works well with others. Actually trying to play a little better defense. He's not great, never will be, but he's not as awful regularly as he used to be. And I think because of James Harden and his ability to work with Chris Paul, I think they have a chance to make things very, very uncomfortable for the Golden State Warriors. Maybe not beat them, maybe beat them, but they'll make it uncomfortable because Harden has grown as a player, not deteriorated. Joy with the news.
No.
Turn on the news. This is the Herdline News.
All right, so we've heard some rumors about the top players turning down LeBron's offers to join him in Space Jam 2.
Is that real or fake news?
Well, it's not fake news for at least one player.
What?
Giannis. He has went on the record that he declined an offer. He told ESPN's Malika Andrews, "I don't like being Hollywood. I don't like all this extra drama. I just want to win. All that other stuff takes away from the game. And you just spend extra energy on looking good for 5 seconds. I don't care about that. I just want to look good on the court, get the win, and go back home and lay on my couch and watch game film. That's it."
I kind of love that about him. I really do love that about him.
It's very Brady-esque. Although I would not say that Tom Brady isn't Hollywood.
You know, Tom's got a little Hollywood in him. Sure. Yeah.
For sure. That's without question. He definitely has Hollywood in him. But this is on the record that he is not interested in that stuff.
One of the things that I've seen, and I think the media can be guilty of instilling fear, and I've said this before. You listen to the left, they make you think the world's ending. You listen to the right, they make the world's ending. I'm squarely in the middle. There is this sort of narrative out there that everybody in the NBA just wants to go to New York and go to L.A. and Damian Lillard doesn't want to leave Portland, and Giannis doesn't want to leave Milwaukee, and those Spurs, mostly outside of Kawhi, didn't want to leave San Antonio, and I never see Harden leaving Houston. Giannis is actually in the majority that most players want to sign with a team, win a bunch of games, take the most money, be able to raise their kids in one community. Let's not, and I got nothing against the guys like LeBron and Durant that move. I don't. I'm a mobile guy myself. But I know a lot of sportscasters in my business who have always lived in one city, and you and I are different, but they're really happy living in Miami.
100%.
So Giannis is actually the NBA.
Well, and also, I would say that everything doesn't work for everyone.
That's right.
All those people that you were talking about who stay in one place, or these players who feel comfortable being with one organization their entire career and don't want to move around, that may not work for their particular brand or the type of player that they are. Like LeBron could not stay in Cleveland.
Right.
Giannis does not have the pressure to win that LeBron had coming into the league. So to say that it's fair, like LeBron should have taken the path that Giannis is taking. Giannis doesn't have the chosen one tattooed on his back. No. He wasn't given the league coming right out of high school. Like and also broadcasting his high school games, people buying season tickets. It's not the same thing. So everybody can't be put into the same box.
Yeah, and also I think Giannis got the right coach early in his career. I think he's got, it takes players. Michael's first coach, he had, I think, Stan Albeck, then he had Doug Collins. Okay, then he got Phil. You generally don't come into the league and by year like 5, you got the right coach. It looks like Giannis has the right coach. It looks like the front office is pretty good at finding talent.
He's in a good situation.
He's in a situation. I always said this. LeBron had to leave. If you're Kobe and you end up... Magic Johnson came into this league and Kareem was his center.
Right.
Yeah, very quickly he got Pat Riley as a coach. It's like, you don't really have to leave when that's how things work out.
No, and KD was in a similar situation. Like when you have pressures, you have how you come into the league. It matters. But I do respect Giannis for saying that this is not who I am, and I'm going to stick with what makes me happy. So there is, speaking of Kevin Durant, a lot of speculation about where he's going to play next season. And much like this time last year when we speculated about LeBron's potential move. Well, now Frank Isola thinks that KD could learn a lot about LeBron's move to LA. He said LeBron's first season in Los Angeles was a disaster. Doesn't mean he can't salvage the last 3 years of the Lakers, but year one was, and as the saying goes, a dumpster fire. If Durant is smart, he will consider the fallout from LeBron's move before making the most important decision of his career in 3 months.
Thank you.
Now, Frank Isola is a New York guy. So he's been around the New York Knicks quite a bit.
Frank knows what he's doing.
Look, I am not going to disguise this situation as an easy move. I have not forgotten the dysfunction that the New York Knicks have been mostly and the ownership. But I do think that they have made an effort, at least, to go in the right direction. They have a solid coach and a solid front office. A front office, which, by the way, has a relationship with Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
If you are also getting Kyrie, that's an incredible amount of talent. And I don't know. I just think that the allure of the New York Knicks and the Garden and the Mecca of basketball is a lot. And like you said, KD has different motivations. I know that the Golden State Warriors have a great setup and he might win 4 or 5 championships there, but that might not be what makes him happy. And it would be great for the league.
Oh, no, that you're not going to, yeah. Hey, listen, if Zion, Kevin Durant, forget Kyrie. If just Kevin Durant went and Zion went, you got to watch Knick games. I mean, you don't have a choice. I have to go home every night and watch a Knick game.
I mean, is that a bad thing?
No. Listen, you and I disagree on a lot of this whole thing. That one, There's no question that Adam Silver is literally with rosary beads at night going, Kevin, go to New York. Zion, go to the Knicks. You're never going to announce that. David Stern used to say, I have 31 owners, and I have to make all of them happy. Yeah, but it did help, David. The Lakers were mostly great during your tenure. It did not hurt.
It's big brands, big cities.
Yeah.
And finally, even with many of the top college basketball players undecided if they'll turn pro, we can start looking ahead to next year's national title odds. And shocker, Virginia is favored to repeat, 5-1, Duke 8-1, followed by Kentucky 8-1, Gonzaga 10-1, Michigan State at 12-1. So DeAndre Hunter is expected to enter the draft. He's projected as a top 5 pick, and Ty Jerome is also shown as a late first-round pick. Now, that doesn't mean that more players besides Hunter and Jerome will choose to leave early, but
you know what?
There is a core group of guys that is likely coming back.
You know what I like? College football right now has gotten very Clemson, Alabama heavy. In college basketball, the one and done does not necessarily win you titles. Now, it wins you games and it makes you interesting.
Right.
But it's hard to take 19-year-old kids, build chemistry in 5 months and win. College basketball right now, we got about 10 programs. I think Texas Tech, if Chris Beard stays, is going to remain really viable. We got about 10 teams every year. Maybe 12 that have a real shot here. It does
I
feel
think
like
we're starting to get a pretty good sample size of what works for college basketball in the tournament, and the experience and playing together, upperclassmen is
it's
showing
a thing.
The results.
There's no question that one and done makes you interesting, and you're going to win a bunch of games. But let me tell you something: when you get round 2, 3, 4 in this tournament.